Hello and welcome to Stream Tabulous. You guys wanted to look at animation in Krita. So with a box of Panadol in hand, I took the liberty of trying to work out how to do that. And with success, I found 3 different ways that you can actually use it with the AI. So we'll go over to the intro and then we'll take a look at that. Okay, so here we are in Krita. Trying to pronounce that correctly. And the first thing we want to do is we want to go to new. So we're going to open up an image. This is just going to allow us to set up our workspace first. And we will worry about this here. So I'm going to change that to 100. Because when you're working with animation, you want it to be a lower setting. I will actually set these up. I'm going to put 1000 because when I'm doing animation, or what I've found is a nice size canvas usually works really well. And I'm just going to save that as animation. Okay, so I put animation canvas 1. I'm just going to save that so I don't have to do it again. And I'm going to go create. It's actually going to open up our normal window. So the first thing you want to do is come over here, which is buried behind my head. So I'm just going to duck down. I want to click on that, and it's going to bring up our workspaces. But what we want to do is we want to save our existing one, which has our layout that we've set up. So I'm going to put AI workspace. So that's my AI workspace. I'm going to save that. So now whenever I need it, I can flick between animation and my workspace, and I'll get it back to the way it was. And then of course we want to come down to animation. Now, we want to come over to our Dockers. So we want to come to our Dockers, and we want to show the AI image generation Docker, which is going to apply here. I have found some issues having it there like that, so I usually just undock it and just let it float, which I find is a little bit better. And again, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to save this as AI. I have to pause because neurological dyslexia. AI animation. And I'm going to save that. Now I can flick between my AI workspace and my AI animation with no issues whatsoever. Okay. Now, here comes the fun part. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to show you Aclys YouTube, where he did his render of the lightning. So I'm going to show you how he did that. And I'm just going to leave it on the cinematic photo. It will do. And we're just going to put, I don't know, dark cloudy sky. So dark cloudy sky. And we're going to generate that. We'll let that run. I'll give it a moment. It's the first time I've run it this morning, so I haven't done a pre-run, so it's not loaded up in the memory. I do find using the lightning models is still the better way to go. But for this tutorial, we're just going to use this one, then we'll change over when we do a different type of animation render. So we want to show Aclys first, since there's a lot of confusion on his page into how he did that. And that included myself, with no audio and no explanation. It became very confusing. So it actually took me quite a while to work it out, slowing down his video play and trying to figure out what he was actually doing. Don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and get the bell on for notifications. So this will do for our stormy sky. We'll apply that. We can do as many as we want. So now we have our background. Now we're going to change this to what he did, which was live render. Okay. And we're going to do a new layer. First of all, we're going to pin that layer. So that's our generator layer. We're going to pin that there so it stays there. And then we're going to go to our paint layer. So here's our paint layer. Now I've got my palettes and that set up here, so I don't know if you don't have them, just do the dockers and dock them where you like. But this is the default that mine's come to. So I'm selecting on white. We have our pen selections across the top here, and then we have our sizing here and so forth. So I'm going to drop that down, a little bit of translucency to it. Here comes the interesting part. Okay, I'm going to do another layer and another layer. So I've got 3 layers in total. And that's so I can move between them and turn them off as I go, and you'll see why. Okay, from there, we're going to come up. We're going to drop this down to 20%, which is where he had it. And I know why he had it on 20%. It's so the background doesn't change too much. The higher you have this, it will change your background. At the moment, AI doesn't have alpha channels. If anyone's watching that works on Stable Diffusion, alpha channels would be fantastic. I don't know how you would implement that into AI, whether it's just a white background and just clicking a button saying if white background alpha channel to have it transparent. But yeah, I don't think we'll get alpha channels in AI. So once we have it to 20%, it's going to keep this background as similar as what you're seeing here. Now, the interesting part is we're going to hit record. And so we're going to press play and then record. Once we hit play, it's going to start rendering what's on the screen. Once we hit record, it's starting to record each one of the motions that we do, which is the key to the way he did it. Slower graphics cards are obviously going to affect it heavily, so keep that in mind. We'll see how this goes. We're going to hit record. That's actually good. We need to save it first. It won't record unless it's saved, so it can do its recordings to that save file. Okay, so I have saved that now. I've just gone up, gone down to save as, and just given it a name. Now that we've done that, we can hit our record button, and it will start recording. So now from there, we can do what Acly did, which is create our lightning. So we'll do some wiggles. I actually have the pen set up, and yeah. So we can do that, and we wait a moment. Now, it's not recording this here. It's only recording what it actually renders. So keep that in mind. This certainly works better with RTX graphics cards. We haven't got our lightning yet. Have to give it a moment. Change that seed. Give it a little bit more strength on that lightning, maybe. Change the background a bit. You can see that background's actually changing there. Maybe start doing another one in there and see if it picks up. May have to change the model. There we go. We're getting our lightning now. Okay. So I'm going to quickly change to erase there. I'm going to change that up big, and we're going to erase that out. I'm going to go back to pen and drop that size back down. Okay. We can see we're getting our lightning happening there. Erase that one out. Okay. Back to our pen. You really need a quick graphics card to do this particular one that I'm doing here, so keep that in mind. Okay. I'm going to let that render for a moment. Let it go through, do its bit. Now, this is a slow graphics card. It doesn't help that I'm recording it with OBS, and this is using a lot more GPU power than what a normal render would do. Just try to do a side bolt of lightning there. I think you'd come through and make that bigger like he did. Below opacity. You can sort of lighten up that ground area to give a bit of a flash effect. I'll let that render. And hopefully it comes up. We can come through and lightly erase some of that out. There we go. We're getting our lightning come across there. I really want one more where it's all sort of fading off. So I'm just going to come like that. And the key to this is a quick graphics card. Really, you're going to want something like an RTX 3060 or higher. The old GTX system just doesn't want to really work with it too well. So keep that in mind. Going to come through. We've got our bit of flash happening there. Just going to erase those off. Okay. Give that a moment, waiting for this to update. So normally what I do with the RTX is I would start drawing on another layer, and as you're drawing each one of the bolts, you start to get those details render, and then you can drop off layers after you've got one bolt. But on the slower system, it seems to be better just to do it in this sort of method here, where you're sort of coming through and erasing out. And of course, we're going to want a one without as well, so we'll do that in a second. And what it's doing is it's recording everything that it's actually doing there. So I think that'll do, and we'll drop that off, and we'll see if we can get that one without. And yeah, this is a rather interesting method for live animation. So it's recording everything, and then once we stop recording, it's going to apply that as each one of the frames that it recorded to create the animation. What that would be effective on, or how it would work, it's hard to tell. It clearly works really well with the lightning. You'd have to really think, well, how can I do this? I would probably suggest it would work well if you're doing layers and doing something like facial animation, so maybe just the mouth, and have it for smiling, for non-smiling, and so forth. We're back to a plain one. We're going to hit stop, and then we can see down here, it's gone through and applied our animation. So when we hit play, we have our animation. So now we come down here, we can right click on this, so we can apply our recording. So that is now pinned. We don't need any of these pinned anymore, including our background layer, because it's no longer in use. So we can show you that by just hiding all those. We don't need any of those. The only one which is in use is this recording layer. So everything's on that. And if we step forward, so we can roll our mouse wheel, we can actually see each one of the recordings that it has caught and put into it. Now, it's only recorded each of the physical renders, so it's only recorded the rendering right there in this frame. So those are what has been recorded. So, yeah, I mean, it's faster with the RTX system, but I mean, obviously you could get away with doing this. It's just going to take longer to come through. So I thought it was more live recording as every stroke, but it's recording as every render that it's actually doing. So, and as we can see, rolling the wheel, it's actually rather effective. So just by creating a background, creating a layer, and then drawing on that layer with a recording, and then applying it at the end, we get that. So if we right click on the first frame, we can go start frame. We right click on the end frame, and we can go set end time, and then that will just loop over and over again. And if we click on our speed, we can actually roll our wheel back, or you can just press the down arrows and adjust the way your speed's actually working for the lightning coming in. And you can see the clouds formation are changing, but having it on the 20%, that is a light transformation. So this would be good in, say, masking or something like that, where you're just doing a sky and not much more. It's an interesting tool. How much usability it has is the confusing part. Now saving it. So we can just stop that there. We come up to here. So to save it, you want to come down to render animation. You need to unclick the export images and do export as video, because that's what we want to do it as. Now I have the Mastrox there, so I can do it as an MKV. I can do it as an MPEG-4. I'm going to do this one as a GIF. If you don't have the videos, it's because you need FMPEG installed. I will leave a link below to a k-lite codec pack, which is free, and you can install that on your system, and it puts all the codecs in, including FMPEG, so you can actually not have to worry about how do I set that up. It's just one-click installer. Also fix any videos that you're trying to play as well, where it might be coming up with no audio or no picture and just audio, or there might be problems with it. So by default, Microsoft doesn't have a lot of codecs installed for that sort of thing. So we're going to change that to GIF, and it's automatically going to save it as the same type of file. So the Krita file that we saved, it's going to give it the same name. So you can change that, but I'm just going to leave that as default, and it's going to go to the same location. I'm going to hit OK, and then it's just going to take a moment to do it. Actually, not that long. And we'll open that up quickly if we can find that. Bear with me one moment. Move that over there. And there's our lightning. So, yeah, that one's really fast. So we can slow that down. We can just do it again. And we'll just do half speed. So it might take a bit to work that out. It's because I didn't change it there. Right. Yeah, defaulted. So we want to change that to, say, 10. So it should be slower. We'll save. It's just automatically going to go overwrite. It's not going to tell us that it's overwriting, so keep that in mind. And then we open that up. We get the slower video playback of it. So that's one way to do it. It's obviously if you have the obviously, if you have your render strength up, you'd get better looking lightning than what that is, but then you're going to change the background more, so that's the hit and miss to that. So that's the first way to do it. So the other way to do it is actually import. So we're going to go import animation, and then we're going to find our file to import, and I'm actually going to import a GIF. Okay, so I have my GIF open up here, and it's telling me that it's only 12 frames. That's okay, and it's telling me that it's a small image. Oh, well, it's kicking out the import there, so it's actually 25 frames. But it's going to do it as 12 frames. We're going to leave it as 12 frames because it's going to be a little bit quicker for me to do. So we're going to do that, and we're going to let it import as a new document. That's fine. So we'll do that, and we have our image open up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this image. So scale image to a new size. I'm just going to do the whole lot. And I am going to do it at 1000. And everything else we're going to leave the same. So pixels per square inch, 72, that's fine. Just be quicker to render. And then we have our bigger picture. And the reason I'm doing that is for this here. There is no undo feature with this, this method. So you'll be wise to duplicate your layer. So if there is something that goes wrong, you can quickly go back and do it. I'm going to change this now to my lightning dream shaper. And then I'm going to put my prompt in. Bear with me. So my prompt for this one is going to be Heath Ledger Joker with a weight of 2, dancing, purple jacket, orange pants. Now, we don't want to change the entire render of this, so we want to drop this back down to probably about 65%. We go too high, we're going to start getting differences to it. We also want to create a new layer, and we're going to drag that layer down to the bottom. And we're on our paint layer there, which is already pinned. And we're just going to come up to our paint bucket. So up here, we're already on white, and we're just going to flood that layer. And that's going to give me a white background. So now we come up to our layer there. We can see our person dancing frame by frame. Okay. This already has the start beginning time and start end time. If I hit play, we see our person dancing. So we don't want this person. We're going to change it. So we're going to come back to the first frame. So make sure you're on the first frame. We have a copy of dance. We can rename that if we want. So we can come down to rename our layer, which is under properties. And we can just put this Joker. And we can put apply a color to that. So we can do green as well. So it'll just make us know where we're at. So that's something that you can do. And then we're going to pin that layer as well. Now we're on our first frame. We have our lightning model selected. We have Heath Ledger, Joker 2, dancing, purple jacket, and orange pants. 65% strength. We actually want to come up to the animation now. So we want to come through and change this to animation. And once we're on animation, there's full animation and single animation. I've had problems trying full animation, so we're going to change it to a single frame. We're going to make sure that we select our Joker. Now you can see that frame is there, and as we go through, we change it. As I've said, I've tried the full animation, and I ran into issues. I found doing it this way just generally worked better for me. So now we're on single. We can generate that one frame. So our lightning model is going through. And basically what we're doing here is we're using this person dancing as a pose model. So it's going to help control the position of what we're actually putting into the image. 65% is the strength that I find works well with this. It will change some of the images a lot. So you're not going to get a clean animation, just to let you know that. So there's no way to see the prior other than doing it this way. So we can see it's pretty good. It's what we want. Okay, and we can come through to our next one and we can generate that again. Now, AI is designed to be random, so we're not going to get 100% consistency with our character. For example, if we put clown in there, you'll end up with different renders on each frame of that clown. So keep that in mind. I believe full animation may adhere better to keeping that look. I'm not entirely sure, or it might go through and render each one of them and you'll end up with the same issues. But I like doing it this way. So we come through, we can have a look at 1, 2. So we can see those shoes are changing color. So we could put in here no gloves, and we could come up here and put white shoes 2. Now we can come back across to this and we can regenerate that frame. So like I said, there's no undo. We can't undo it, but we can regenerate that frame. And we'll see what happens here. We might get our white shoes, we might not. We'll find out. The problem is once there's color in an image, AI usually likes to put that color back into the image. So it can be a little bit hit and miss. But we'll try it. This is a method that you can use to clean up bad renders or renders that you're not happy with. You can just rerun it over top of it. And keep in mind, you're clicking on the frame that you're wanting to render with. Unfortunately, it is stuck with those purple shoes, so we'll live with that. We'll do the next one. We've told it white shoes now, so hopefully it will stick with that, and we've put no gloves as the negative prompt. As I said, this is not perfect. Better prompting, brackets on certain things, and having your prompt set better would give it more control. So keep that in mind. We can also in-paint parts out on the individual frame as well, so keep that in mind. but it is really difficult. So we're getting better there. So we're going to come through and do that on each of them now. I did find if you're flicking through looking at these and it finishes the render, it will come up with an error. So you're best to let it finish its render before you look at your frames that you've actually put in. And the reason we upscale the image is because the Lightning model is designed to work with larger than 512 by 512. And of course, by having a larger model, we get more details in the face and in the overall image. So I prefer to work with that. We can come through and we can see it's starting to take effect. White gloves probably would have worked well on the prompt. We'll just let this render each one of them. So yeah, we have to sit there and render the. Looks like we've got almost 27 frames here. So it's a little bit of patience, depending on how much time and effort you want to put in. And I've selected this one because I'm hoping that it makes the faster video. Again, you can start to see that taking shape. Okay, we come through, generate another frame. And what I will probably do is just edit this video and we will cut forward. Since this is all we're doing is we're rendering each frame. If you get a render that you're not happy with, just generate over top again. Like I said, there's no undo. We can't undo one of these renders, so that's the only downfall, which is why we have the backup layer there. Okay, so I need to create a folder. Bear with me, because we need to save this. Okay, so again, we need to save this. Okay, so we're just going to come through and save this. So I'm just going to put Joker Dance, and we want that as a Krita file. We're just going to save that in there. Now we've done all our renders, so if we come through, we can actually see those renders running in backwards. Now, wherever it's had the hair coming out, it's done that. So you could go through and paint the frame and actually white that area out and get rid of that, but I don't mind it looking like a bit of clothing flicking up. And we can see that there. So now when we hit play, we get a Joker dancing. And yeah, I can feel billions of graphics artists and animators just crying out at once at this video. I do get a lot of dislikes and constantly having to remove hate messages. But like I said, I mean, I've been doing art my entire life and drawings my entire life. But with disabilities, including a completely buggered arm, you got to find new ways to approach things. And it is just a tool, and you can see it's not perfect. I mean, we can see those shoes changing, the underlining of the jackets changing to orange at certain points. It's just something fun. And yeah, you can probably do a lot better than what I'm actually doing here. So I am just showing how it is done. So, and of course we can slow that speed down. So, and of course we can speed it up. So you can go anywhere you like with that sort of thing and find out what you prefer. I kind of prefer that more stop motion, slower style dance. So say about 20% slower. I like that. So we will come up, render our animation. I'm going to change this to GIF. I'm going to leave that as that. This is 12 frames. Change that to about 8 frames. And we're going to try it at that first. We'll see what that looks like. So it comes through, renders our animation. That's our frames, 28 frames, running it at the slower speed. And there's our dancing Joker. And of course, you can apply background music to that with other tools and programs and yeah, other special effects, and do what you like there. So that's method 2. And I like this method. Some things to note, like if you're working on a frame, you'd be clicking on it to actually work on it. You can move frames around by clicking and dragging, and you can insert and duplicate frames. So you could just come through here. You could clone that frame, or you can copy that frame. So you can copy that frame. You can go keyframe, insert a keyframe to the right, which will give us a blank one. We can right click on that one, and then we can paste the keyframe that we copied, and that would give us 2 of the same image. So when we start, we'll get a bit of a double pause there. So it's something to keep in note. And like I said, you can drag and move them as around as well. So working this out is something. So that's Krita animation, and that's 2 ways that I've worked out how to do. There is a third method that I'm currently working on, but it's not perfect. When you do something like an in-paint, it applies it as a layer. It doesn't actually apply it to the keyframe. And that's a little bit of a headache to try to work out, well, how can I do it where I'm manipulating just a part of the keyframe? So I haven't quite worked that method out yet. If you know how to do that, or you've seen a video on it, or if you've made a video on it, or something like that, share it in the comments below. I'd be interested in seeing that, because basically I'm looking at something like using it to generate a background where you get something like a Studio Gimli sort of effect, and then create your little animations and erase the background so they're clear, and then insert them as the keyframes over top of your background. So that's sort of what I'm trying to work out how to do at the moment, using the AI to generate those parts for the keyframe, so those parts to the layer, and then build the layer up, or rather build the keyframe up. Haven't quite worked that one out yet. So hopefully I'll work it out. Hopefully it's possible. So leave comments below if you've worked that out, and if you know any videos of that, it'd be really, really handy to know. Hopefully this video helped you out. Of course, if it did, as usual, please like, subscribe, and get the bell on for notification. Try not to leave negative comments if you're not a fan of AI. I understand there's a lot of people that aren't fans of it. And as I've said before, I have a completely buggered arm. I've done art my entire life, and I'm slowly using the use of that arm. I've been told that they may have to amputate it one day. So use it as little as possible. Older I get, the worse it gets. And yeah, finding new methods to continue to express myself with art, even if it isn't that same sort of form, is something important to me. And teaching it is important as well. I think teaching is very important to do, and sharing knowledge. So hopefully you like this video. And of course, I will see you in the next Stream Table List video. Thank you for watching my video and sticking around to the end. If you like my videos, it'd really help me out if you could like and subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm to push my videos out there to more viewers, which in turn helps me and helps everyone. So thank you for watching my video and hanging around to the end, and I will see you in the next video.